Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Discoh, and today we're going to look up in the tanking spec of the warrior, the protection spec. You get shield slam, revenge, shield block, and devastate. Okay, great. Well, I'll split this guide up in two parts. The first part will be an introduction video. It's gaming, glyphs, talent selections, stat priority, and the second part will be more about the gameplay. Threat generating, mitigating damage, what to think about, and also some macros I use. You can click the annotation up in the corner to come to the second video. And remember, if you do not play a protection warrior, you can still look and might learn something as a tank in the second video, because I'll go through various parts that is tank overall, and some tips and tricks for tanking in general. So let's get started with talents. So let's get started with the talents. So first, a brief overview over the protection warrior. You have a very good defensive against the most parts of damage, but one thing you have that is really bad is self-healing. Like the paladins, they have immense amounts of self-healing, but we warriors lack that some bit. But we can do some changes, and I'll tell you why a bit later. So the first three we're looking at, we get Juggernaut. You can charge every 12 seconds instead of 20. Double time and Warbringer. I personally go with double time due to you never know when you need another charge. It's a guaranteed 2 charge in the beginning of the fight, and they like recharge after your first, and they stack. You might get ads. We might say ads from 2 different sides. You can charge in my heroic leap into the middle and charge to the next. You get threat on them both, and you beat them in the middle. Therefore, the DPS can cleave them. This is a great ability. Also, if you get knocked back, you might fly up in the air. You know you got a charge, and you can then charge away as well. Great ability and great talent. The Warbringer, you can't stun bosses, and if you stun the ads, it's just bad, because then you can't drag them and cleave them. Juggernaut, well, it's better for 5-man dungeons than raid perspective, to be honest. The Juggernaut makes it's a great addition if you're chain pulling, but we're not in raids. It's much better to have 2 quick charges than just one with shorter cooldown. Yes, let's jump into the more of like your only healing. I know this talent has changed drastically back and forth over Mist of Pandaria. Okay, Enraged Generation instantly heals you for 5% of your total health and an additional 5% over 5 seconds. Effects are doubled if you use while enraged. And the reason is why I'm not picking this is due to 5% when you really need healing is not really much. It's no like burst healing. If you're saying the Rumo on normal, LFR, and heroic, when he does this ability on you, you really need to be healed up to full health, or else it won't disappear. This won't really burst up, it will just keep you alive. Second wind, it's only good if you're dying, and we're not going to die because we're awesome after this guide. Independent victory. Okay. I'm actually glyphing this, and I'll tell you why when I'm finished with the talents. Okay, it's a 30-second cooldown. It costs 10 rage. Instantly attacks the target, causing 19,500 damage and healing you for 15% of your maximum health. And as you can see, killing an enemy that yields experience or resets the cooldown of impending victory and cause your next impending victory to heal you for 30% of your maximum health. With your 2-set piece, this will grant you like an immense burst heal. 30% instant. It's a great heal, and then you can just pop a cooldown and you won't go down. Okay, I really like this talent. This talent tree is more about what you prefer. It's Piercing Howl snares all enemies within 15 yards, reducing their movement speed by 50%. On Council of Elders, when you really need to slow down the Loa spirit, if you're tanking morally, I guess it might be a good choice, but you also got your ability hamstring, so it won't be necessary. I can't find this useful. Staggering Shout calls all enemies within 20 yards that is snared to become rooted. Well, if you hamstring and then, but still not really useful at all. Disrupting Shout, you get another interrupt. Therefore, it's great. AoE tanking with spellcasters, you can just drag them into a ball of death and just let the DPS cleave them down. And it silenced them for 4 seconds. I really like this, but it might change to Piercing Howl depending on the fight. Remember that. Okay, at level 60 you get Blade Storm, which is not good at all because you can't do anything while doing it, and therefore you might even need a cancel aura to cancel that ability during, and it's just a waste. So Shockwave, you might help on the Loa or Magera Heroic. You might be able to stun the ads and so on, but well, if there's anything stunning that you can stun, go with Shockwave. It reduces damage taking immensely. But I use Dragon's Roar. It knocks them back, but as I said, bosses don't get knocked back. With Vengeance, this crits like up to 1 million I've seen. Great burst threat generating while you're taunting. While you're taunt swapping with your main tank or off tank, you press taunt and you then boom Dragon's Roar, instant rage. While you charge in, boom Dragon's Roar, threat generated like instant. Here we have like the most weird and I don't know. Well, it's one of the weirdest talent tree in my opinion then. Mass Spell Reflection. This is actually really good on fights like that elite first boss on in what's it called? Terrace of Endless Spring, with those 2 guys shooting water bolts. You can make your whole raid reflect that if you time it right, and you also get, you can interrupt, you can disrupt, you can spell reflect and mass spell reflect. You can rotate that on spell casting bosses and get a great survival ability over interruptible spells. Vigilance, a very long cooldown and transferring 30% of the damage taken to you for 12 seconds. During duration of Vigilance, well, it's if you lose aggro, I guess, but it's like 2 minutes if you lose aggro twice, you're fucked. Not a very stable talent in my opinion. Some people might choose it, but not for me. Safeguard. Run at a high speed towards a party or raid member, removing movement impairing effects. This can be combined with your mocking banner and also close by people to remove roots and snares, which occurs in some raid scenarios and might come in later patches as well. It replaces intervene, but it's not a big deal. I generally prefer this because it makes them 20% less damage taking for 6 seconds. It's great for fights like G-Kun. You do it on your other tank, 20% less damage on Talon Rake. After you taunt swap on Durumo, he then puts a dot on you. 20% less, makes the healers easier to heal up the tank and get rid of the debuff. As well on Jin Rock. On most every fight, help your off tank. Because when you're building Vengeance after tank swapping, you might take more damage, and some people actually prefer to pop a cooldown, but I pop a cooldown for my friend. It's just like a nice guy talent. I usually choose it, but for 5-man dungeons, well, mass spell reflection. Okay, I actually made some slight changes just before, or like some weeks ago, and warrior tanks have a problem with AoE tanking. You got Mocking Banner, but not much else. You got Dragon's Roar, and you got Thunderclap. Okay, you put some bleeds up, but if you got like amazing DPSers on Horidon or fights like that, they're just going to run away. I generally prefer Bloodbath because I have a macro with Dragon's Roar that makes 30% of the damage as bleed over 6 seconds. They also reduce movement speed, which make them don't run away from you while tanking them. Stormbolt, well, you can't stun bosses, so yeah, it's just a waste. And Avatar, great for taking, well, on things like Execution Phase, Paul, Bloodlust, so on. You might like increase your damage, but we're not here to make damage. That's like rule number 1. You're here to not die, not to make more vengeance. Okay. Great for like taking aggro, I guess. Fights like Garajal in Mugushan when you're going to kill the spirit, or also that beast thing from Twin Concerts, killing down that really quickly. But this is a much shorter cooldown. This is a 3 minute. So I generally prefer Bloodbath with Dragon's Roar, which is a great combo. Yeah, let's jump into glyphage. Yes. Okay, glyphs. Remember, these can change drastically due to playstyle and so on. Also in talents, nothing is set in stone, remember. Talents might change from fight to fight. Okay, here's the reason. Glyph of Victory Rush. Increase your total healing provided by your Victory Rush of or the healing of impending victory following a kill by 50%. Okay, your 2-set piece makes your Shield Slam and Revenge proc Victory Rush as you killed someone. Makes it 30% from 20. Imagine you having 800k HP. 30% healing off that is an immense heal. It's like 200 and 80k, I guess. Some about that. Yeah. Glyph of. Okay, next glyph. I generally prefer this because it's much easier to manage your rage with 120 up from 100. While having only 100 rage, it's very easily to waste your rage. So it's a guaranteed pick for me. Also this with your 2 set, and I recommend you go with Bull Rush for a steadier pull if you do not use Victory Rush. The glyph of Death from Above makes your Heroic Leap decrease cooldown by 15 seconds. You never know when you need your Heroic Leap, but you want it off cooldown as soon as possible. Jump to trash packs, jump to ads. Even if like the Rumo makes a force of will, he can like slam you off the platform. If you're quick enough, you can just jump back with Heroic Leap. Yeah, so let's jump into some gemming and reforging. Okay, so I'll put a link of my armory in the description as well. Yes, so you generally, for progression kills, you want to put stamina in almost every slot you can get. Okay, as you can see here, 240 stamina, parry stamina. You want to go for stamina bonuses if you can. Stamina and so on. If you get a immense, really good socket bonus, just put in like a purple or green stamina parry / expertise. You generally want to go for, at my level, 46% mastery and stamina to mitigate magical damage. Pure up stamina mitigates all damage. It also stacks with your heal, and if you have that proc heal and tons of stamina and some shields maybe from your healer, you won't die. You just won't die. The reason why you're aiming for mastery is because a critical block reduces the physical damage of 60% and a block 30. Okay, so a 60% less, and also it's pretty much with 46. I am not buffed with mastery, and therefore it takes me into a 50% and takes 60% less physical damage, and my stamina mitigates magical damage. So as long as you do this, you want trinkets with stamina and mastery. Therefore I have the Jade Warlord figurine, which is a great trinket. You can get it from Mugushan Trash, but there's also a, I guess it's a 489 Pandaren 5.0 trinket for just some valor points, and it's the exact copy. You want to upgrade that as soon as you get it. And bind it to your keybinds. This gives, well, it straight up absorbs and great stamina. You also want to have 3 times more, or more than twice as parry than dodge, and just go for armor. If you got a racial as me with maces and swords, you want to aim with one of those weapons for the extra expertise. But racials does not really make a big difference on the alliance side for tanks in how to gear. So yeah. Alright, so that's everything for part 1. And the second part will be more about gameplay and in-depth theory crafting and nitpicky stuff to make you a great tank. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like it if you liked it. It really helps me, and just click in the description or early in the video to get to the next part. I'm Disco. Thanks for watching.